So I'm going to cover it now, because if we don't cover it now, we're not going to get to it, because there's no way we're still going to talk about this story. This is like after watching Adolescence. One, it's if you, one's in chat if you watched Adolescence. Two, if you didn't. If you haven't, I recommend it. I think it starts really strong and it kind of like tapers out. I feel like the ending was a little weak. I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to spoil it, but here we go.
In UK classrooms?
Well, there's no doubt that there's a really big issue. The NSWT has been conducting research of teachers the length and breadth of the country. And firstly, I would say that 2/3 of teachers are reporting.
This is from Sky News. It says teachers are experiencing verbal and physical assault, often directed towards female teachers. And don't get it twisted, this is happening in the U.S. as well. General Secretary Dr. Patrick Roach speaks as teachers claim social media influencers like Andrew Tate are fueling a rise in sexism in classrooms.
I would say that 2/3 of teachers are reporting issues around the use of smartphone technology by pupils in their classrooms. But when we delve more deeply into the issues that uncovers, we identify that around 60% of women teachers are saying that misogynistic behaviour by pupils towards them is an issue. You know, it's an issue for women teachers, it's an issue for female pupils in our classrooms. And we're saying this requires now a national emergency response from the government.
Dr. Roach, just talk us through some of those examples. We've been talking on the show about how 10-year-olds are refusing to talk to female teachers, kids blocking doors or barking at teachers too. Can you just detail to our viewers some of the individual problems that you're hearing from members?
Yeah, I mean, you know, those examples that you cite there are the examples that our members, that teachers are telling us about their experiences with children as young as 10 or 11 years of age, so in primary school, right through the whole of secondary.
I'm sorry, I'll say it. Dude, middle schoolers are cruel. They're cruel enough on their own, okay? Listen, Lord of the Flies, that shit is realistic. I stand by the fact that, like, real empathy, being able to empathize with people that are beyond your immediate circle, you develop that shit in like high school. Because the shit that I saw kids that kids were up to in middle school, that was like fucked up, dude. Oh my God. They literally got my drama teacher to quit because they kept calling him. His name was Hayworth, and they kept calling him Gayworth. He was so nice. He was such a nice teacher. And I know what you're thinking. That's not that bad. I was a teacher's pet, so I loved all my teachers. So I never did this. I never engaged in this. I was a nerd. I was a dork in high school and middle school and elementary school. I was never big and popular or anything like that. So I've always been a teacher's pet. And so I actually, like, I could empathize with the teachers. Like, stop being mean to them. They're so nice. They're so nice to me all the time. Stop. And was a nerd. What do you mean was a nerd? Shut the fuck up. All right. They got one of our professors investigated because, I don't know about you guys, my middle school, some teachers had their own personal, like, basically it's like a broom closet. It was like very small. It's like a fucking 2 feet by 2 feet. And it was just to put like textbooks or reading materials or other stuff like that. Literally like a broom closet. Some professors, some teachers had a broom closet where they had extra stuff for the class. Like I remember one of my English teachers had one, and it was just like a bunch of books that he would show us or read or whatever, blah, blah. And they started, so messed up, dude. They started calling I think it was my history or my science teacher. They started calling it the closet. And he had to get investigated. Luckily, he kept his job because he's like, no, no, I don't. What the fuck? No, I didn't even know that people were doing that. Middle schoolers they're already cruel. They are already fucking cruel, dude. They are so cruel. What do they call you? No, it's not about me. This is about like middle schoolers bullying fucking grown adults. Middle schoolers are also already cruel enough. Andrew Tate is like, it is actually like destroying middle schooler brains. You weren't cruel? I mean, I don't think I was cruel. I already shared this story, but like I committed fraud for the people, okay? The benefits of being a teacher's pet chat is that most teachers are underpaid and they don't want to have to do all the grading. So I had this OP strategy where I would get hundreds for the first like 2 months of the class. And since I had no friends, they would let me chill in like the teacher's lounge. And then I would be like, you know, I can help if you want. You don't have, obviously I don't have to grade my homework or my test, but I can grade everything else if you want me to. And obviously no conflict of interest because I didn't really have friends in most of my classes. I had my friends that I saw in like maybe 2 or 3 classes and that was it. But I was also like a nerd. So even if I had friends in class, I sat at the front of the class. I raised my hand all the time. And I like, you know, anyways, neither here nor there. And kids that I thought were like the class clowns who I thought were genuinely good people. And they kind of derailed the class in a funny way. I remember this one class, this one history class, I had this kid. Every class, he would get the history teacher to talk about her personal life for 30 minutes straight. He literally one-guyed her. He literally would stun lock her. And she'd be like, oh my God, I had such an awful weekend. You'll never believe. I went on this date and this guy. And then she'd be like, oh my God, we have to do the lesson today. Just read this chapter. He was great. I loved him. Everybody loved him. And he was also nice to me. He was nice to everyone. He wasn't a shitty person. And I remember distinctly on multiple occasions grading exams for kids like this. And then realizing that they were going to fail the exam. And I was friends enough with enough teachers that I knew they hated summer school. They were like, oh my God, please just pass my stupid fucking class. I hate teaching summer school. So in my head, I was like, this is kind of a win-win for everybody if I just erase a couple answers and change them. Win for the teacher. She doesn't have to teach summer school. Win for the student. If you don't like a class, you don't like the class. If you don't like history, you don't like history. If you don't like math, you don't like math. You can't force someone, right? You can't expect an underfunded education system to force a kid to like something, especially kids who like already know that they want to go to trade school or whatever, right? And so I was like, really, is there such a harm in changing 1 or 2 answers? Is there? Wow, 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 wow. Can you believe Denims would do this? Whoa, 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 wow, wow. Based. Ethan's going to clip this and say you should be in prison. Like literally, the idea that you answered one of the questions wrong. You answered one of the questions wrong. And now you have to take summer school? I've said this story so many times, but anyways, yeah. So I was a bit of a Robin Hood. I was. You had to get 100%. No, like if I would see that a kid's grade on like a Scantron would be like a 60 instead of a 65. And that would be the reason why he had to take fucking summer school classes. And I could fix that. Changing one bubbling. It's a victimless crime. As a teacher, I'm a teacher, and the sad bit is that when we have to call their parents to say their kid's being an asshole to other kids, the reaction is to have complete indifference to their kid's shitty behavior. Yeah. It's sad. It's really sad. I was one quiz answer away from passing a class before. I just barely failed it. Like, was it wrong? Like, isn't that fucked up? Isn't that fucked up? Obviously, there were kids that, like, they got every answer wrong on every test. It's like, well, I'm not going to save you. You're fucked, dude. Like, you're actually cooked. You're totally cooked. There's nothing I can do for you, man. You're like 20 answers away from passing. You probably should take this class again. Sorry. One answer. So all those times that you thought, how did I pass this test? How did I pass this? You maybe didn't. Maybe there was one of me out there helping you. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I don't know why I got on this tangent. Oh, because someone was like, "Were you evil?" No, I was a loser who watched anime and read Homestuck. Okay, I didn't have time to be evil. I was too busy fucking reading my manga and catching up on episodes to be evil and drawing anime fucking doodles in class. All right. Like I didn't have the energy for being evil. The most evil thing I did was like I stole some candy from a teacher once. I'm sorry, Mrs. whatever your name was. Sorry. You left the drawer open and I really wanted a lollipop, so I stole one. Sorry. I'm sorry. I really wanted the dum-dum. Okay, moving on.
Where teachers are being bumped and barged, teachers are being verbally abused, teachers are, experiencing verbal assault as well as physical assault, often directed towards female teachers. Twice the rate of verbal and physical assault of women teachers in schools compared with their male counterparts. And quite often, teachers are reporting to us that sexism and misogyny is a key driver of that.
Why is it happening?
Why is it happening? Well, I'm sure that the causes of this are many and complex. But what teachers are telling us is, firstly, the issues around the use of technology, particularly mobile phones, smartphones, and their easy access to many pupils. Indeed, easy access for pupils of primary age. Secondly, access to social media sites and the failure to regulate those sites.
Because I think a lot of us got really lucky that when we got on the internet hadn't been giga monetized yet. The blue flash, that's amazing. So the internet was like more, I almost want to say pure. Like people, there were just forums dedicated to people things loved. It didn't matter if you made money on it. YouTube videos, nobody started making YouTube videos because they wanted a career and wanted to be a YouTuber. They just felt really passionately and wanted to be creative, and they uploaded videos that they wanted people to see. I loved anime forums. Yeah. Like, I remember early gaming when like gaming forums were like dedicated to trying to beat games, and it was just a couple people and everyone was like struggling, and they would write these guides, and it wasn't like the fucking current dog shit that you see on like game FAQs, which, no disrespect to the journalists who have to write those articles, but I hate those articles. I hate everything about them. I despise them. It's like 1,000-word essay just to tell me that the developers haven't introduced this feature yet. And it's like, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. And it's like, I made do many Guitar Hero 3 set lists. It's amazing. So the internet was like, it was more pure. Like, people didn't use it exclusively as a tool to generate revenue. And it was a place people went because they liked things that were on the internet, like gaming or anime or whatever. And now it's like Andrew Tate does what he does because it makes him a fuck ton of money, because being controversial, because trending in TikTok or on TikTok, trending on Twitter, trending on Instagram, trending on all these platforms, it just makes him more money. That's saying more extremist things. Those are prioritized by the algo because they get more traction. So Twitter and Instagram and YouTube are expected to promote that stuff because, again, those videos get more clicks on their website. So it's like this fucking loop of dog shit. It's just fucking, it's sad. It's just sad. And now the people who are the most divisive, the most angry, the most whatever, get the most attention, get the most traction, and then more people see it.
Not only in terms of who has access to those sites, but the nature of the content on those sites. You know, primary age children shouldn't be accessing social media sites in the way that they are doing. But really, there are issues to do with, how do we keep our classrooms safe? And how do we ensure that young people are critically aware of the kind of content which is being fed to them? Because there's no doubt there is an issue that there are some influencers out there who are seeing our young people as a target for extremism and hatred.
Which influencers are you talking about?
Currently, we need way more social media policies. Like, our legislation is lagging on social media. It's fucking lagging. Like, we already have a problem with trying to get people to want to be teachers and keeping them as teachers because we pay them pennies and we expect them to teach like 50 kids that aren't interested. And they have to work the full 8 hours. They get fucking nothing. They get pennies. And then they're expected to do overtime and they're expected to pay out of their own pocket for school supplies. Like, it's just a mess. It's just a fucking mess. How do I find VODs? Oh, sorry. We upload VODs at the end of the stream. So we should be very soon. Like, do you know what a shit show it is? Andrew Tate's ideology driving sexual harassment, sexism, and misogyny in Australian classrooms. For Grace, 2023 should have been the pinnacle of her teaching career. 5 years after graduating university, she was settling into a full-term contract at her dream job on Queensland's Sunshine Coast, teaching at the high school she had attended growing up. I traveled around, I'd come back, and I'd settled in a nice spot, so I thought it was gonna be a really good thing for me. The 30-year-old told 730. I don't know this news journal, and I don't know anything about Australia. But by the middle of the year, Grace's teaching career was over. During her time as a relief teacher in 2022, she noticed more boys talking about Andrew Tate in class. It was much more prevalent when she started teaching media studies to 15 and 16-year-olds last year. One of them was speaking about how much they love Andrew Tate, and I said, look, I don't want to hear that name in this classroom. I could see some of the girls rolling their eyes and sighing. Grace said only 3 to 4 boys formed a small group of fans in her classroom, but it was enough to set a disturbing tone. Most of what was happening in my experience was of a sexual nature, she said. Students would make moaning noises in my class, asking me inappropriate questions, asking me personal questions about my age or my appearance. She said she was told to use the teaching techniques to handle the problem, but the behavior didn't stop. And at the end of her first term under her contract, she quit. It's very disappointing. I don't feel safe in a classroom anymore. Even though I want to be there to stand up for young girls, my mental health was suffering. I couldn't be in those classrooms anymore, and I couldn't take it. Crazy AOC is the one to actually have to explain deepfake porn and why it should be banned to most of Congress. I really don't know if it fully passed yet. Well, yeah, because we should have fucking age limits on people in Congress because they're not fucking up to date with what's happening today, and they don't give a shit what happens because they're only going to be alive for another fucking decade or two. I'm looking at you, Nancy Pelosi. I'm looking at you, Mitch McConnell. If you're not weekend at Bernieing already, age limit should be whatever the average age is, whatever the average life expectancy is of the average American, minus 10 or 20 years. Average life expectancy is 70. Okay, after 60, you can't. You can't serve. That's good. That's a good system. And instead we have 90-year-olds in Congress. 90. What the fuck? That's fucking crazy. Feinstein literally was under a conservatorship. She didn't have control of her own finances. And she was voting on bills. She was making decisions for the rest of the country, for every American, even though she wasn't making her own decisions. I'm sorry. It just... And when you propose this idea, when you say like, hey, I think that there should be age limits, people are like, well, what do you want them to do? You want us to just kill them? You want us to execute them? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, I just want them to retire. Go work in literally any other industry. Also, you Congress people make so much money. They're already sitting on millions. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Just like, God forbid the public servant spends their life serving the people. serving the public. They talk about it like you're gonna midsummer them. It's like, what? I'm not proposing anything crazy.
Wow.
Those influences are many and varied. I'm not going to particularly name any right here, right now, although teachers themselves speak about some of those influences. Indeed, you know, I know that your program previously has referred to some of those influences. But we're talking about here the spread of misogynistic, sexist, racist, homophobic, transphobic hatred. We're talking about the spread.
And the saddest thing about this is, like, these kids that are talking about this shit, they don't even understand what they're saying. Like, they don't I'm sorry. As like a fucking 14-year-old, you're stupid as shit, all right? You're just repeating the things that people you think are cool are saying.
Of anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant, anti-Semitic prejudice. This is what teachers are telling us.
There's no 14-year-old or 13-year-old or 12-year-old that actually thinks immigrants are ruining this country. They can't even explain it. They'd be like, because I don't know. Can we get ice cream? Like, they don't fucking know. You're gaslighting their personal experience because of their age and gender. Boo. Bad bait. Boo. Dog shit bait. Try again.
About, and that's why we're saying we need that national emergency response to be led by government.
Everyone throw tomatoes at that guy.
One of those moves be banning smartphones in schools?
Well, I think it would be. I think that smartphones in schools, in classrooms, really have no place unless there is a clear, rationale and justifiable reason as to why they should be linked to the curriculum. But we also say this, it's not just about banning smartphones in classrooms. You know, the fact of the matter is that whether young people have access to their smartphone in a classroom doesn't stop them from bullying their peers when they're outside of the classroom or when they're outside of the school building. But moreover, we need to ensure
This is my most extremist opinion. Smartphones in classes is like, it's one of the worst things. It's actually like the thing that's going to stop kids from learning the most. And it is contributing heavily to our literacy rate dropping. And I think that, I'm sorry, you should be forced to put your smartphone in your locker. And guess what? We can do it the old-fashioned way. Your parents need you. You're getting an emergency call. You call the school. And then you hear on the speaker, "Hi, can Chatter, Green Bay Bucks, please come to the principal's office. Chatter, please come to the please come to the." It feels bad to like lose that agency as a kid, and like as a kid you're so mad because you're like, bedtimes are fascistic. But it's too easy. Being on your phone is just too entertaining. It's just too entertaining. Back when people had flip phones, there was nothing to do on that. Were you going to play Snake for 7 hours? Come on, be real. iPhones are just too entertaining. Smartphones are just too entertaining. Yes.
That those social media companies are behaving responsibly, and that affects.
There's such a difference between having access to information that can benefit learning in a better way that it would have 20 years ago and getting access to shitpost and dopamine triggers. Yeah.
Active action is being taken against those who are inciting hatred.
Which, like, okay, I'm not a teacher. Teachers can tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like when I was going to school, and I got smartphones eventually, but I had a flip phone at one point. I had a Sidekick at one point. Kids already are trying to use any distraction to not pay attention in class. I feel like you give them a smartphone and they definitely won't pay attention in class. I can't imagine a bunch of middle schoolers with smartphones and they're expected to not pay attention. Like, how are you expected to not be on your phone? Again, people who teach, tell me if I'm wrong. But I feel like you'd end up with a lot of kids that take out their smartphone in the middle of class and start fucking looking through it. Then you have to sit there spending so much time being like, hey, put your phone away. Put your phone away. I teach college, you're right. At least with college, you're paying for your classes. You're fucking yourself over by not paying attention. You're an adult. Use your brain. fucking pay attention in the classes you're paying money to attend. And like high school, you don't even understand why you're fucking in school. I mean, you do, right? But like long-term planning is not really a teenager special. No, you're right. My school implemented a zero phone policy and it was like night and day. Okay. All right. I haven't been in a classroom and I mean, I haven't been in like I haven't been in a public school in ages, so. Is the H3 text also, or, oh, sorry, I apologize. This text is on the screen.